Hello everybody and welcome to the Real Housewives Edits. My name is Elle and I am here to talk about the two loves of my life, editing and housewives. Today we are going to be talking about a scene in the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills where Diana's fiance is singing and Erika is also singing. This scene literally had me in tears when I was watching it. I tend to watch Housewives like under the covers on my iPhone at night after the kids and everyone is asleep. Little tears were coming out the sides of my eyes just because there was so much going on. If you haven't subscribed yet, let's get me to 200 subscribers. If you can get us to 200 subscribers, I will cover another OG scene. And take a minute right now, if you could, just pause this video and put in the comments below. Tell me what scene you would like me to cover from the past. With all that housekeeping done, let's jump right in.
Let's go inside for a bit.
Yeah. Come on in, ladies, come on in.
Oh, this is lovely.
So first of all, you know, when we talk about editing, one of the big things I talk to you guys about is how every shot has a purpose. Nothing is put in on accident. The editors don't just throw something in just because it looks good. Everything is done to drive the story forward. A great editor knows how to drive the story forward. If the story starts to stay stagnant, especially with a show like The Real Housewives, that's when we start to tune out and think about something else. You see him warming up his voice and you see the piano player kind of warming up. The editors put that in there just to prep us for something that's to come.
I'm gonna sit here if that's all right.
You can't read those, girl. Get.
Bitch.
Get.
Show off your Broadway background, come on.
No. Honey, that crashed 2 years ago.
Okay, so again, there's a little part there where Erika goes up and she's sort of looking at the music. Asher comes over and he says, "You can't read that, girl." They didn't just leave that in there just because it's a funny moment. Everyone else is sitting down, but Erika's sort of like up at the front, like looking at stuff, maybe acting out a little bit inappropriately, which also seems to be part of her storyline.
Everyone's looking amazing tonight.
The stars are brightly shining. It is the...
Okay, so I was just watching the scene and opinion alert, I was like, this is just so...
That's my opinion!
I guess not at the same time. Maybe with time I've looked at it and I've been like, maybe it's not because he's a singer, right? Anyway, they cut to Lisa and they cut, you know, they're sitting on that couch and then they cut to Erika. Remember you guys, they have so many shots that they can use when they cut to Erika. What is the shot that they end up using is her actually taking a sip of her drink. Moves her storyline forward, maybe kind of puts us on the edge of like, oh, this is, oh, something might go down here. When she takes the sip of the drink, I can almost hear in my head the Jaws sound. Something's gonna go down because we haven't had a moment yet where something has not gone down. So let's just keep watching.
night of our dear Savior's birth. Fall on your knees.
Okay, so again, we go back to Erika. She's taking another sip. I also want to point out that they did this wide shot, right? So they have all these kind of like single shots, like on Crystal and on Garcelle, two shot of Kyle and Renna. And then they pull back to a wide, which is basically kind of showing the entire room. So you can see the piano, you can see Asher, you can see all the people watching. When they do pull back to any sort of wide shot, they're giving their audience sort of like, this is what the entire scene looks like instead of just these small, intimate moments within the scene. They want to show you the scope. What I see in that moment is, although she has a gigantic house, it just feels like a very small thing. They're sitting like right in front of him and he's doing this performance, and it just, honestly to me, again, this is just my opinion, it adds a little bit to the absurdity of it. They're all there kind of watching this impromptu concert by someone that they, you know, didn't like ask to see. I almost feel like that wide shot like illuminated that a little bit. That was just for me though, because I find this moment and this whole scene to be totally absurd.
Asher's singing, it's so magical. It It really is so moving and so meaningful. He is a talent.
Okay, so before we get to the Erika stuff, you noticed that the reaction shots that they chose, and again, these shots could have been any time during his singing. They chose moments to show, you know, Kathy Hilton dabbing her eyes and Lisa Rinna dabbing her eyes. They're really trying to show that Ahhh's singing is really touching people. Now let's go back to this concept that we've talked about before about shifting tone and contrast. I do believe that this is absurd that Ahhh is singing to this group, but if Bravo had made this moment absurd, they could have probably, you know, grabbed reaction shots where everyone's just sort of awkwardly sitting there while he's singing. Then having Erika come in and sing, it wouldn't have had the same impact and it wouldn't have driven our story forward and driven her storyline forward. They had to make it feel like everyone was super into it and feeling it in order for the tone shift to be as strong as it does when we go into what we all know what we're about to go into. So let's watch.
I think Erika probably misses the spotlight.
So Erika starts singing, I think the wrong words, and everyone's giving the looks, right? So again, with our reaction shots, the editors are grabbing the reaction shots of everyone kind of looking over at her, looking at each other, like, oh my gosh, what's happening here? And from an audio standpoint with the editors, I'm sure they pulled out, meaning removed the sound from everyone else's mics and just really made her mic loud in the edit. So it sounds like she's totally overpowering and then added those reaction shots to make it just so cringeworthy.
She won't shut up. It's awkward.
Now again, right there, you can see that even Crystal is kind of singing along to the song, and you don't hear Crystal at all. Obviously, Crystal, I'm sure, is singing very softly, but they took out all the other sound to really make that stark contrast of Erika's voice coming out like, oh my gosh, what's happening?
Hit the high note.
And of course, what do we have to show? A quick drink of the alcohol, and then a hit the high note is coming. Now again, in that moment right there, you saw Diana and her friend. Diana, who looks, by the way, is the one sitting closest to Erika and looks totally unbothered. They couldn't even get reaction shots of Diana like giving her any side eye or anything. If that was my significant other up there singing and someone was screaming to the right of me, I would at least give them a look. And Diana's totally nonplussed. And then Diana's friend is even laughing when Erika does her thing and she falls back, but you don't hear that laugh at all. Again, proof that they pulled out all the other mics just to make Erika's really stand out and probably turned hers up quite a bit. Also right there where Kyle is turning around and looking at Erika, she sort of has this look on her face like you're sharing the way you feel with other people. That's the vibe I get from that little look right there, but it was so quick that the editors grabbed it. I imagine that they were like, that'll work. That'll work for her looking like she's judging Erika, but I actually think that that was maybe something a little bit different.
Erika, I think, has had far too much to drink in her behavior. I think it's not respectful, and it feels a little bit out of control.
No.
So again, Diana looks totally like it's not bothering her at all. Ahhh doesn't look bothered at all. And they had Erika sound so loud, like she is literally screaming. And of course, that's what makes it funny and that's what makes it so much more awkward. But the fact that Diana sitting right next to her doesn't even look at her and the fact that Ahhh can just go on singing makes me think that Erika might have been doing this a little bit softer than what they're showing in this scene. If I was editing this, would have had so much fun trying to make it as cringy as possible, grabbing those reaction shots and also turning her mic up so loud so that it just sounds like she is literally in the most quiet room ever, screaming at the top of her lungs. Well, anyways, you guys, I just wanted to cover that small little scene because that scene had me dying just with the cringeworthy factor of Erika singing along with him and making it so cringe. But I wanted to talk to you guys about how the editors were able to make that even more cringe, show that contrast, show that shift in tone from everyone crying to everyone looking like, oh my gosh, how embarrassing. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you for subscribing. Thank you for liking and commenting. Until next time.